Coming up today, South Korea's defense ministry confirms that North Korea's recently launched satellite made it into orbit. Officials are still trying to figure out if it's functioning or not. The United States says it hopes to deploy its THAAD missile defense system to South Korea as quickly as possible in the wake of North Korea's rocket launch. Fast traffic swells on the nation's expressways as hundreds of thousands of people return to Seoul as the Lunar New Year holiday starts to wind down. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Tuesday, the 9th of February. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this afternoon, South Korea's defense ministry has released its interim report on North Korea's rocket capability. The report comes 3 days after Pyongyang launched a rocket carrying what it claims to be an Earth observation satellite into orbit. For details, we connect live to our Defense Ministry correspondent Kim Hyun-bin, who's standing by for us at the Ministry of National Defense in Seoul. Hyun-bin.
That's right, Mark. A little over an hour ago, South Korea's Defense Ministry released a technical analysis of the North's recent rocket launch. Now, the report compiled by Agency for Defense Development says the Unhyeongung is in orbit and the rocket's 3 stages separated successfully. Now, the ministry added that it's trying to determine if the satellite is working properly, but no signals have been detected so far. The ministry says the rocket is similar to the Unhyeongung, which was launched in December of 2012. They compared the trajectory and the altitude at which the fairings separated from the first stage, which were the same for both rockets. They also examined the time it took both rockets to put a satellite into orbit, which differed by just 17 seconds. The Unhyeongung had a maximum range of 10,000 kilometers, and the ministry believes the range of the rocket launch Sunday is about 12,000 kilometers. The ministry says although North Korea has developed this intercontinental ballistic missile technology with its latest launch, it has not yet perfected the technology it needs for re-entry. Now, South Korea was the first to detect the rocket just 50 seconds after it was fired, but disappeared from radar 6 minutes after launch and shortly after the rocket shed its fairing. Now, Seoul and Washington are conducting a joint investigation to the matter, including analysis of parts of the fairing debris that was retrieved near South Korea's Jeju Island. But the ministry says it will take some time for the results to come out.
Our Kim Hyun-bin there reporting from Seoul's Defense Ministry on the Defense Ministry's analysis of the launch and the success or not of it. As a follow-up to that report, a US official has said that the North Korean satellite launched by the regime on Sunday is actually tumbling in orbit. The senior defense official told CBS that the Gwanmyeong-sung-4 satellite is not functioning properly and no signals have been detected from it. North Korea was quick to label the launch a complete success. Pyongyang claims to have 4 satellites orbiting the Earth, but only 2 actually are, and both are said to be in unstable orbits, at least according to the US, rendering them essentially useless. Now, could a US anti-ballistic missile defense system be deployed to the Korean Peninsula as early as next week? It would have been completely unthinkable before this weekend, but North Korea's rocket launch may have changed all that. Connie Kim with the details.
The United States hopes to deploy its Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD system, to the Korean Peninsula as soon as possible.
We'd like to see this move as quickly as possible, but we're beginning the consultations now in the coming days with the South Koreans, and we expect that this will move in an expeditious fashion.
The official's remarks come as South Korea and the United States agreed to discuss the matter on Sunday, the same day North Korea launched its long-range rocket. Citing a U.S. official, CNN reported that Washington wanted to deploy THAAD as early as next week, adding to speculation the system could be on South Korean soil soon. On Monday, U.S. President Barack Obama said for the first time that Washington and Seoul were in talks over boosting missile defense capabilities to prevent any possibility that North Korea could hit U.S. facilities or populations. The Pentagon made clear, however, that THAAD would only be used to counter threats from Pyongyang.
If the THAAD system were deployed to the Korean Peninsula, it would be focused solely on North Korea and contribute to a layered missile defense that would...
China is deeply opposed to the deployment, as THAAD's radar has a radius of some 2,000 kilometers, meaning it could cover half of mainland China when deployed in Pyeongtaek, one of the candidate locations of the THAAD system. China's foreign ministry says the deployment of such a powerful piece of military hardware to the peninsula would detract from efforts to maintain peace and security in the region. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Now, local politicians are renewing their focus on national security in light of the North's rocket launch, putting a stalled counter-terrorism bill back into the spotlight. Unhyeongung has the details.
South Korea's rival political parties were quick to condemn North Korea's rocket launch. On the issue of deploying a U.S. missile defense system known as THAAD to South Korea, the ruling Saenuri party said it was high time the country had an extra layer of protection from North Korea's missile threats.
I strongly demand that we come up with firm countermeasures against North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. It's a life and death matter for people here as well.
South Korea's main opposition party suggested the regime's excessive focus on nuclear weapons and rockets could end up backfiring on it.
North Korea should understand that its obsession with the nuclear development will lead to the regime's collapse.
The parties have been monitoring recent developments on the Korean peninsula as tension again threatens to bubble over. A day after the North launched its rocket, a North Korean patrol boat crossed the northern limit line, the maritime border in the West Sea that separates the Koreas. The boat retreated after the South Korean Navy fired warning shots. The development have also refocused attention on a stalled bill at the National Assembly. The rival parties have yet to fully agree on passing an anti-terrorism bill aimed at protecting the lives of South Koreans and improving human rights in North Korea. Unhyeongung, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea's political parties are gearing up for a general election in mid-April. Nearly half of the country's incumbent lawmakers are registered to run for re-election. But with the nation's electoral map still not drawn, some politicians are asking for the election to be postponed. Ji Myung-gil has more.
A controversy is heating up over the upcoming parliamentary election on April 13th. The newly formed People's Party says that, with the country's electoral map still in limbo, the election must be postponed to ensure the people's right to choose and to expand opportunities for aspiring politicians. It says the uncertainty over some electoral districts and the disappearance of others could deal a decisive blow to political newcomers who will have less time to make themselves known to voters. The ruling Saenuri party and the main opposition Minju party have both rejected the proposal. The country's electoral map expired at the end of last year. The two main rival parties have agreed to keep the total number of lawmakers the same at 300, with 253 seats for regional representatives and 47 for proportional representatives. But they are still at odds over whether or not to put the bill to redraw the map in the same basket as other bills on the economy and labor reform. 137 lawmakers have already decided to run for re-election on April 13th. 75 from the ruling Saenuri Party, 56 from the Minju Party, 2 from the People's Party, and 4 from the Justice Party. By region, Korea's central Chungcheongbuk-do province has the highest percentage of lawmakers mounting re-election campaigns, with 88% of incumbent lawmakers having registered already, followed by the capital of Seoul with 81%. The southwestern city of Gwangju had none. With the controversy of the electoral map, there is growing speculation that sitting lawmakers may be putting off the redistricting bill on purpose to give themselves an advantage in their constituencies. Those who have registered can conduct limited campaign activities until the end of March, even though their constituencies haven't yet been determined. Ji Myung-gil, Arirang News.
Now, hundreds of thousands of people in Korea are making their journey back to Seoul on the second to last day of the 5-day Lunar New Year holiday. The estimated travel times by car to Seoul are as follows. From the southern city of Busan, it will take 6 hours, 20 minutes. From Gwangju in the southwest, it will take 6 hours. Setting off now from Gangneung on the east coast will take you nearly 4 hours. And finally, from The central city of Daejeon account for a travel time of roughly 3 hours. Road authorities say 500,000 people will be hitting the expressways back to the capital on Tuesday. Congestion is expected to hit its peak between 4 and 5 p.m. and stay fairly busy through the evening. The estimated drive times to major cities nationwide can be found on the Korea Expressway Corporation's official website. Now, it is tradition that people in Korea visit their hometowns during the Lunar New Year holiday as families gather to pay respects to their ancestors, eat some delicious food and observe the holiday. But for those unable to experience a holiday homecoming, there are other ways to celebrate right here in Seoul. Lee Ji-won with the details.
Unhyeongung, a palace that exhibits Korean royal family culture, is experiencing even more visitors this week. Despite the cold weather, people have come out to enjoy the New Year's festival.
We came here to enjoy Seoul holiday and let our daughter experience Korea's traditional customs.
Oh, we're enjoying it very much. We just came here just a few minutes ago, but it's very nice.
As the Lunar New Year approaches, the Fortune Corner is filled with people curious about how they will fare in the coming year. From making talismans to writing a wish list, people are getting ready to welcome the new year.
I wish for my family to stay healthy and happy.
People can also learn and play various traditional folk games, such as Yunori, a traditional board game, and Taegi, which is similar to hacky sack.
We played Yunori when we were young, but it's really nice to be able to enjoy it again.
Visitors can also try on traditional costumes and make bokjori, or a lucky bag believed to bring good fortune to the family. The festival runs until Tuesday, so if you're in Seoul for Seoul, come enjoy what Unhyeongung has to offer. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Now, most people in Korea who have white-collar jobs have another day and a half of their 5-day Lunar New Year holiday to kick back and relax. But for workers in the transportation and service sectors, it's often business as usual. Shin Se-min has this report.
An annual mass exodus is taking place in the country in light of the Lunar New Year holiday. It's also a time when highways are clogged and bus stations loaded with passengers, all making their journey home to spend a long-awaited moment with their family.
And here at Seoul Station, it's no exception. Some 2.8 million travelers will be getting on and off the trains to see their family members living in other parts of the country. But it wouldn't have been possible without those hard at work, even during the national holidays.
At the forefront are train conductors, working extended hours during the holiday period, along with the rail staff that assist countless number of travelers. They even provide directions to patrons waiting on the packed platforms.
I won't get the chance to see my family in my hometown this time, but helping others get to theirs and seeing them with gifts in both hands is rewarding.
And there are those who silently carry on with their duties as usual. City bus driver Lee Jae-won is one of them.
It's my job. Even if I don't get many days off to spend it with my family, it's all part of public service.
With a sense of responsibility and duty, public transportation operators in and out of the city are doing their best to accommodate the public. But it's not limited to transportation workers. Those in the leisure sectors are also sacrificing personal time with family for the benefit of the public.
This time, I chose to be more productive over the holiday as I have prioritized my work over spending time with my family.
While most of the public gets to take advantage of the rare, almost week-long holiday, there are those that are working hard and making sure everything runs smoothly so the rest of society can enjoy a happy and prosperous New Year. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, global banks have forecast that Korea's yearly GDP growth will remain in the 2% range through the end of next year. According to a consensus of forecasts, global financial institutions and economists predict, on average, 2.8% growth for the country this year and 2.9% in 2017. Economists in Korea have presented similar figures, citing slowing exports as the main reason. The government and the central bank, the Bank of Korea's growth estimates hover above the global forecast at 3.1% and 3% respectively. The Korean economy grew 2.6% last year, the lowest in 3 years, due largely to slumping exports and manufacturing. The average price for an apartment in Seoul surpassed 550 million Korean won for the first time in 2015. That's about $456,000 US, up more than $23,000 from the previous year, and the highest since Gungming Bank started collecting data in December 2008. Apartments in districts south of the Han River raised the prices, selling for an average $548,000 a unit. The price of apartments also rose on the back of rising jeonse prices, or long-term deposit contracts, which have turned renters into buyers. The average jeonse price for an apartment in Seoul was around $330,000 in January. That's up a staggering $125,000 in the space of just 4.5 years. Gungming Bank officials expect jeonse prices to rise steadily amid low supply, with sales prices also continuing on their upward trend. Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.